first time? Okay. I'm just gonna
Yeah. Okay. It's better the way it was before. Okay. Because at least you can see everyone.
Right. Well, after that, I'll come back here for like. Oh, okay. I mean, it's not that it's just for commercial. Even if they go overboard.
No, you can't.
Okay. So now,
Yeah.
what I'm gonna say is
Exactly.
this mic is gonna pick it up. Right?
Yeah.
So walking here. Yeah. But if I stand here, it's fine. Yeah, here it's fine. Oh, okay. Not close. Exactly, close and okay. Oh, we can start?
Let's start.
Just let me know if we start.
You can start.
Oh, it's live. All right, welcome everyone to the first debate of the winter 2023 general elections. So tonight we're just going to be asking a few questions to potential counselors, potential executives, and Senate members. So everybody will have a chance to first present themselves and why they are running. So we'll have a 1 minute timer for each person. So please try to respect the time limit. So yeah, we're just gonna start with Adam here, first person. So the first question is, what made you want to run in this election?
Right. So, hello guys, my name is Adam Bugila. I'm running for finance coordinator. So the thing that made me want to run is first of all my expertise, because I have a lot of expertise in being in finance management, whether it is in high school um, with previous nonprofit organizations in my high school, or also in CSU itself, because I was also a council member, and I have been member of like many council activities, as well as in Concordia Senate, and therefore I think that yes, I can do change in Concordia, and I can improve student life in Concordia.
And if anybody wants me to repeat the question, I'll just repeat it. You want me to repeat the question? Okay. So what made you want to run? And you could say what are you running for as well?
Okay. My name is Tanupa. I'm running for Student Life Coordinator. What made me want to run is for the past 2 years I've worked in the union as the social media director, which works directly under Student Life Coordinator. I've seen the role and have experience working underneath the role, and I think it is something that is done well, but I feel as if my expertise and my connections to the other BIPOC groups kind of make it better for me to be in the role to kind of provide more diversity in the different events that they're hosted. And so yeah, my reason for running is to hope that with the different orientation and frosh, we kind of able to reach more of the student body that is not just the classic people that come, but more importantly, we kind of have more diversity in the people that we're able to bring out to different Concordia events. So yeah.
All right, thank you. Maria, if you'd like to say what you think. So do you want me to repeat the question?
That's all right.
It's fine?
Yeah. Tell me when you're ready. My name is Maria. I'm running for Sustainability Coordinator, and my reason for running is because for the past year I've been working as a receptionist at the Concordia Student Union, and I was looking for a way to make my mark within the Concordia community, and seeing all the students coming in and out with various problems and various little suggestions got me thinking, and I decided it would be really good to run for me and I could try my best to leave a mark on Concordia and make the community better and just try my best to give as many resources as I can. I think my experience with the CSU would help me, and yeah, I'm just here to make a positive change.
Okay, thank you. All right, Alexandra. So, what made you want to run for executive?
So, hi everyone, my name's Alexandra. I'm running for Academic and Advocacy Coordinator. So my inspiration for this is, sorry, is the mic on? Just, yeah, okay. I'm a bit too short, sorry. Oh, sure, let's do that. So my inspiration for running for this role, I mean, there's countless reasons why I think it's important to be involved in the union as a student. Particularly, this role is responsible for a lot of the core services on campus, so that includes the housing and so HOJO, the housing and job, off-campus service, as well as the Wellness and Recovery Center, as well as the Legal Information Clinic, daycare and nursery, et cetera, et cetera. So these services are obviously crucial to the lives of students, and especially students who might be a little bit disenfranchised and really rely on these core services to make it through their university life. So I'm really passionate about advocacy in that regard. I also forgot to mention the Advocacy Center itself, which is also one of the services under this portfolio. The other aspect of the role includes sort of representing academically, so that includes not just Senate, but other academic bodies, and kind of liaising with the academic administration and taking into consideration students' needs in that regard and consulting with them and representing them. So I'm really passionate about this. It's something I've done in my previous college life, and I'm excited to kind of get back into that after having done 2+ years of having worked with students in the past in those like academic sort of settings, and I'm really excited to do that again.
All right, thank you. All right, so the second question is, do you have any like projects or ideas you want to accomplish? So like specific things you would like to see happen in the CSU?
Yes, so I have many projects I want to talk about. First of all, and most importantly, international students. International students are having very huge problems, whether it's financially, whether it's on campus, and I think that CSU must do its best to help international students. Another thing, so for example, the other CSU groups, the other student groups that need our help, that need financial support by CSU, I think that CSU should help them and should help them do like whatever they want to do and to improve student life. Last but not least, one of the most important things CSU must do is advertising. CSU's activities are not getting advertised. Nobody is showing up. Nobody is coming to the CSU activities, and CSU should invest more money into advertising and should invest more money into activities such as such as elections. We need more participation in CSU, we need more student interaction in CSU, and CSU is willing to do that under my help.
All right, thank you. So what would you like to accomplish, so certain projects?
I think the events that I wanted to throw as student life coordinator, I really wanted to focus on more of a dry year, so less events that are just parties and places for people to kind of drink. I think that we have member associations that kind of already do that. I really want to target the part of the student body that feels kind of left behind by frosh and orientation because they are not like inclined to come and party. I want to have more events where people can meet each other at different workshops and such. I also think that advertising is super important, similar to Adam. So a part of the student life job is looking over the comms department and the way they do things. As a person that's been on the comms department for the past 2 years, I really do want to focus on working on the way things kind of go out of the CSU in that department and how we can make it more cohesive and just done well overall. And so hoping that my time spent on the team will help me be better as a supervisor in order to make that better. But yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so Mario, what would you like to accomplish?
So I have a couple projects that I'm thinking about. Some of them are already started by the current sustainability coordinator, and I would like to continue working on them in the coming year. There's one that deals with helping students throughout houselessness and trying to do something useful with the building that the CSU bought in regards to that. Then there's already a mandate to get free period products for women on campus, everywhere, accessible to all. And there's also the issue of food and the rising economy, and I want to try and strive for having food on campus accessible and affordable to all, and maybe implement some community pantries and other like baskets and things, and see what else we can do about the food situation, about the housing crisis and everything like that. I also want to do a couple of workshop events in regards to sustainability and being more eco-friendly on campus and just generally in Montreal in our lives. So these are just some of my goals, but yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, Alexandra, what are some things you'd like to accomplish?
So within, again, the role of academic and advocacy, I think it's really important to use that position to kind of be able to help guide the student body towards knowing their kind of rights and responsibilities as students, and just help them to be able to navigate. So being able to help them do that, I think, means not only just having visible sort of campaigns and such, but also hopefully being able to offer workshops and events which are directly, speaking to what are the institutional policies of the university, how does that actually impact students, how can students actually recognize when their rights are possibly being infringed upon, what they can do about that, grievance mechanisms, so on and so forth. I think largely the student body probably don't have all the resources and knowledge up front to be able to navigate that, and so it'll be really exciting to see how much we can progress in being able to make that accessible to students. Beyond that, there's already some large projects at the CSU going on at the moment. We just recently had the town hall for the student building, amongst other things. So there's some pretty big things coming up, and I'm excited for all of it.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so speaking of services, so are there any specific services you would like to see improved or added? So I think you talked about the international students. So maybe, I'm not trying to lead you on, but for example, something like Hojo or stuff like that.
Yes, there are definitely, talking about international students, we need to improve our international student services. There's a new service that has started, a new club that has started, a new committee, let's say, that has started for international students and for helping international students. This is just the beginning. We need to do more of that. We need to make sure that our students are having a good student life so that when they come to Concordia, they are happy with their life and they do not have to struggle. That's one of the things. Some of the bigger things is to, first of all, support, again, same thing, support the clubs that are supporting students. We should not let them fall down because these clubs are helping the students with their lives. And more importantly, CSU should also start cooperating with other bodies, whether they are in Concordia or outside of Concordia. CSU should cooperate with other bodies to increase activities or to, for example, help the students that are in need. So CSU should do that, and as a finance coordinator, I will be looking forward to do all that.
All right, thank you. Okay, so what services or would you like to see improved or added?
I think that the CSU already has quite a bit of services that are available to students. I think if I came in my role, it'd be more to see what is already in place and how can we amplify that towards students. I also do think it's really important to, before wanting to create a new service or create a new office or create a new thing, it should be very important to see what is already in place within the union, how we can make that better, how we can use that to target and kind of go forth to more students. I also do think it is important to support our international students. I'm personally an international student, so I know the struggle. It's very difficult to be one in Canada and in Concordia specifically, and so I would, in my role going in, make sure to be more aware of the different ways CSU can support them with the services that we already have in place that already do some good work. But yeah.
Thank you. So what services would you like to see improved or added?
Yeah, so I've already mentioned of a project that the CSU is currently working on in regards to the student building, and that would be kind of taking Hojo and bettering it and implementing new things and making it a little bit more than just a redirection center. And that's kind of the direction that the CSU is planning to go into in the coming years. We're trying to take a look at our services and see how we can better them, because a lot of them at the moment are just kind of redirection centers, and we want to be there for the students as much as possible. We're starting with Hojo. Hopefully I can team up with the advocacy coordinator and just see how we can better the other services together. Yeah, that's definitely something that's in the works, and we're looking at how to just better them all.
All right, thank you. Okay, so what services would you like to see improved or added?
So under my portfolio, I would really be in charge of overseeing all of the services. So that does come with like a real mandate from students to basically ensure that all of those services are operating basically at their peak and are hopefully giving the maximum output of services or quality services to students. So, I mean, to be very frank and realistic, it would start with, consulting with all of the staff members. It's important to keep in mind the amount of staff members that these services employ, that the CSU employs, and these employees, have expertise on the ground. So they need to be consulted in all of this. Students should be consulted as well. So, again, to be frank, I've been a part of initiatives in the past creating new services, creating new centers, and these are long-term projects. They take a long time to, brainstorming is one thing, but to implement takes a long time. And so, as my teammates have mentioned, I think improving upon what's already there, assessing what could be better, and then just, leaving that, continuing that legacy.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Adam. Okay, so the next question is, well, you were mentioning like there's not enough being done to like advertise and stuff like that.
Yes.
So, see, the CSU has been criticized, right, for not having low turnout, for example, or just people not knowing what their services are, right? Like,
Yes.
for example, I was tabling a lot during this nomination period, and a lot of people were like, well, what is the CSU? Like, what do they do? Like, they didn't even know we took, like, a certain amount of money every semester from them.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, so they don't even know what we are, so, like, how can we expect them to participate, right? So what do you think could be done to like improve student engagement and just overall awareness?
Yes, so definitely this is a big problem, and we are having very low turnout in the elections. Now, I did bring up the issue of advertising. CSU should advertise more, and not only online, but also on the floor, also on campuses, on every single building. CSU should be like more active on that. Our staff is here for that. Our staff is here to serve the students, and so they should do that. CSU should make sure that every single student knows what is going on in this university. CSU should make sure that every student knows the activities that are happening day after day. Now, another thing that is very important for the elections, a very efficient way to increase the turnout rate, other than advertising, also tabling. CSU should table more. Thank you very much for tabling, but this should be also CSU's purpose. CSU should table even more than that. And other than that, they should bring in voting back on campus instead of bringing it online, because most people do not check their emails. They want to vote, but they do not know how to vote. Bringing back voting on campus is very
We're
important.
actually having polling stations this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Right.
2 here, 2 at Loyola.
Well, about this, how many people know that there's going to be polling stations?
Number one will be like
Yes.
throughout the university.
Yes, we should also advertise for the polling stations themselves to make sure that...
It'll be like, for example, like let's say we have table right here, and like people will be like trying to get people's attention and stuff like that.
Yes, but how many people are going to come to this floor, you know?
No, it's going to be like in the lobbies and stuff.
Yeah.
Like in like high traffic.
We should just make sure that every single student knows that, hey, there is a polling station
Right.
in that place.
Yeah, of course. That's fair. Okay, so what can be done to increase engagement or awareness in the CSU?
I think similar to what has been done this year, I think it's really important to acknowledge that we're just coming out of a COVID year. We're just coming out of years where students have been online and engagement has been so low. And so this slate coming in, were the first slate that was able to come in with like a fully in-person type thing, and they've taken advantage of that. The Loyola coordinator, Sabrina, constantly tables at Loyola. Harley, who is running for GC and is student life this year, tables on the mezzanine level. So I think it's important to use the tactics that they've used this year that has increased turnout in comparison to the past 2 previous years, and kind of build momentum over that. Like, that's the whole reason for our slate name, building momentum, taking what has been done for this year and maximizing it for the year that we're coming in. So I do think tabling is super important. I also think using like the online tools that we already have, like we have the access to the newsletter that does get access to all the student emails and sends them emails and they read. While I know it's easy to kind of believe that students don't check their emails, a lot of the engagement that we do get on the CSU comes from the newsletter. That's someone that kind of looks at the analytics and is a part of the comms department. So I do think it's important to see what has been done for the past year as the slate, like as the Back to Basics, which was last year's slate, came in, what they've done, how they've been able to increase student engagement on their level after coming back from a completely online year, taking that, building momentum, and seeing what we can do in the next year.
All right, thank you. Okay, so how can we increase engagement?
So actually I've tabled today, this morning a little bit, just to let people know about the election, and I've noticed if you bring out coffee and if you just bring out a little bit of like something that engages the students, they usually tend to approach you a bit more. So maybe that got me thinking a little bit. Maybe we should take all that has been done before, even with the tabling and everything, but maybe like monthly or bi-monthly or something. Have like a coffee chat where somebody would table with like maybe a little bit of coffee and just like present what the CSU is, what the services are, and obviously we'll keep going with our newsletter, with our Instagram account. We're very, very active on there. Yeah, we'll just try our best to get the word around, but obviously it's the first year this year that we're in person, and I think we should focus a lot more on in-person. Get like a lot of those places with high traffic areas and just see if there's something that can be done like in the mornings or something. Yeah, I think there's like definitely a possibility there, but yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so how can we increase awareness and engagement?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely easy to kind of look at, let's say broadly, the campus life and to essentially criticize and say, hey, you know, there's not enough engagement. And I think that that's something that we can all kind of touch on like the surface of the iceberg. But in running for executive positions, which are like full-time, you know, day in, day out kind of positions, you kind of have to be realistic, kind of, again, as my team members have suggested, and look at the underlying mechanisms. So, you know, if, for example, there is, you know, struggle with communicating with students, there are structures there. You know, maybe there should be looking into a possible like mandate where, you know, either a committee or a working group can look at, like, as was mentioned, the analytics or the type of engagement you get on campus. These are the type of things that I think really depend on a lot of people, not just one role. And I think largely the student body also, you know, we all here have a responsibility as members of the union to kind of mobilize each other and to make sure we're all engaged. So while I do think, of course, that the staff members of the CSU are responsible for the implementation and should work at making that smoother for students, I think it's also important to remember, as was said, coming out of COVID, there's a culture of student engagement which is lacking on campus, which is normal. It's been interrupted for 3 years. And as a student body, it's up to all of us to come together and recreate that culture.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sorry, you have two mics now.
Okay, so Maria mentioned the building that they bought in 2021. So for those who don't know, in 2021, the CSU purchased a student center on Bishop Street. So they've been renovating it ever since, but it's still kind of unclear like what they're gonna do with it. They did have a town hall to like, hear what students had to say, but like as a counselor or executive, what do you think like should be done with the space? Like how should we allocate it? Should it be just one thing? Should it be multiple like services? Like what do you think?
Yes, surely. So since we have a whole new building for CSU, I think CSU should make sure to allocate all the building for the service of students and not for the service of anything else. So whether it is by bringing like floors for activities for students, that would be amazing. And also every other service, such as we have very great clubs, fee levy groups too, that are doing some great job to improve student life, such as, for example, the Frigo Vert, or such as other groups too. They're doing such a great job, and I think we should give them a space. And I think these people are paying like a huge amount of money to the people they're renting the place from. Let's bring them to CSU and let's give them a space there. Other groups too, such as, for example, Regis, for example. Giving them a bigger space in the building, that would be very helpful to them, and that would be very helpful to all the Concordia students. This building actually could be used to increase student activities, because now they know that everything that CSU is gonna work for is gonna be in one single building, so we can have more students like going to the building, and further more students interacting with our CSU activities.
All right, thank you. Okay, so what do you think they should do with the new building?
I agree with Adam that it should be used for student services. I think that taking from what Sean did this year and having that town hall, seeing what was said in that moment, also, again, tabling, discussing with students, seeing what they think is necessary, coming back to the drawing board, from there talking as an executive slate, but overall like providing things that are necessary for students. In the brief time that I tabled this week, students really mentioned wanting more study spaces, for example. I think it is important to have fee levy groups that maybe don't have an office on campus or such, where students can come engage with them. I think that is important to include at the student space. But yeah, overall, the CSU is for students by students. I think that is the same type of idea we should apply when talking about a student space.
All right, thank you.
Of course.
Okay, so what do you think should be done with that space?
Yes. So I know that Sean has big plans for that building. He wants to use part of it for a pilot project to see and help students that are experiencing houselessness. Now, I would be interested in looking into it and trying my best to see if that's viable and possible. I also do agree that this building is ultimately a student space, and it should be for students, like it's there for them. So yeah, this study spaces is a great idea. Having space for services, maybe trying to put all of the services in the same building. Yeah, maybe even giving space to fee levies. Essentially, the CSU is just trying to figure out what to do with that building that would sustain it as best as we can, so that it can kind of live on its own and take life of its own. And yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so what do you think we should do with that space?
What should be done with the student building?
Yeah, well, like maybe services or whatever.
So basically, I'll go off of my impression as a student, and of course, what was said at the town hall. My impression is that realistically, in terms of consultations, in terms of planning, we're still somewhat in our infancy when it comes to how far along we are. Now, that doesn't mean that there hasn't been a huge amount of work done. There has been a huge amount of work done, but there's still a long way to go. And what we hear a lot currently is the fee levy groups really being hands-on and having a lot of feedback for the student building. So keeping in mind, as someone who's going to be running for the executive, knowing that the executive's job is to implement the day-to-day decisions of the council. So here, I would hesitate to kind of speak over students or kind of say, this is what I would like to see personally, because students are already consulting and engaging on this issue. And I would invite even more students groups, individual students, more pre-levy groups to continue the consultation process. And I know that there's very, very exciting ideas. And I don't really want to, I think all the ideas are very exciting, and I think if any of you attended the town hall, you would probably agree all the perspectives are really exciting, but keeping in mind that I think it's the groups who are consulting who should be essentially prioritized. Like we can't, as a council, as a CSU, we can't ignore what our membership is essentially telling us.
All right, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so the next question is, okay, so there's been some friction between the CSU and the administration for a while now. I mean, I guess that's kind of natural to have like with the relationship they have, but so of course if they had like a better relationship, you'd think it would be easier to maybe advocate for students or to get things done. So what do you think could be done to maybe improve the relationship between
the administration?
Yeah, the CSU and the administration. Like, okay, I'm not gonna badmouth the administration, but you know sometimes it can be difficult to get things done with them. So
Yes, definitely. Well, CSU always have to remember that we are on Concordia University's lands, technically. We are in the Concordia University's buildings. This does not mean that we have to give them everything they want to, but however, it means that we should be cooperating with them and telling them, hey, well, this is what CSU wants to do. Are you willing to do something to help us doing it? And hey, this is your job, this is not my job. Let's not spend money, let's not make CSU spend money that Concordia is supposed to be spending, because we are paying our tuition fees for a reason after all, and Concordia should actually pay its part and in student activities. After all, I mean, CSU is actually helping Concordia by increasing student activity because it improves the university itself. So yeah.
thank you. Okay, so what can be done to improve the relationship? I mean, yeah.
I think it's heavily important to remember that we are here to support students, and we are here to help students as much as we need, and here to advocate for students. That's the reason we're execs. And if that comes, advocating for students comes with angering the administration, that's just a result of that. And like our goal, our mandate, our job is to advocate and support students at the highest level on at Concordia University. And so I think it's important to have good relations, but I think going in, it is very important to focus on what we can do to support students and how can we advocate for them towards the university. And if that comes with the university not agreeing with us, that's just a result of the situation. We are here for students.
Thank you. Okay, so how can we improve the relationship or get the most out of it?
I completely agree with Tanu. I think that the CSU is here solely for the students and to represent them and to represent their interests. That's our arguably biggest job as executives, and we're always open to discussion, obviously, with administration, but ultimately we're always going to move in a way that best supports the students and that best works in their interests. So I think that's what we're just gonna do, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what can we do to improve the relationship with the administration?
Yeah, I mean, as my team members have suggested, we are a union at the end of the day. And while we might have slightly different legal mandates than labor unions, it's not that far off. Keeping in mind that the university has a number of other unions, whether it's faculty unions, grad unions, etc. And so there is definitely something to be said about working in good faith with all of these groups, right? To see all of these groups as partners, you know, if necessary and when necessary, working collaboratively with parts of the administration who, in some instances, might also be great partners. So I think good faith is a large part of it, and I think that the union should approach things in that way. But again, as my teammates have said, it is at the end of the day, legally mandated to represent our membership, not necessarily the membership of Concordia deans and so on. So, yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, so the next question is about Reggie's Bar. So recently there was an article posted by The Link, which shed light on on Reggie's financial troubles. So they're pretty much heading towards bankruptcy currently because of during the pandemic they had to take out a loan. Now they're having trouble paying it back. So so now there's been some talk of maybe the CSU helping them out by bailing them out. But there's been some resistance by the CSU as well. So what's your stance on possibly, giving out financial bailouts, or what vision do you have for Reggie's Bar? So what can be done, or what should the CSU do with the situation?
Yes, well, definitely, it is not nice to see Reggie's go bankrupt, and this would be like a great loss for all of Concordia students, honestly. And so this is why I believe that CSU should do everything within its power to not make Reggie's go bankrupt. And as a financial coordinator, I'm going to make sure that Reggie's is never going bankrupt. Actually, I even talked to Reggie's, to the management themselves, and we are even talking about like increasing their menu so that, like, for example, they include non-alcoholic beverages. This is not for sure, but it is possible. So this will improve all student lives, because I know, for example, Muslim students, they cannot go to Reggie's due to the alcohol. Well, if they put an alcohol-free menu, then this will be even better for us, and this will prevent them from going bankrupt. So I believe that yes, as a finance coordinator, I will make sure that Reggie's will never go bankrupt. One more thing, though. This is not only about Reggie's. We also should make sure that none of the student groups should go bankrupt anytime soon. There is, for example, MSA, Muslim Students Association. They have a lot of activities. They have a lot of charity work, but they do not get the funding. And as a finance coordinator, it is my duty to make sure that they get the money they need for their charity work, for all their activities.
All right, thank you. Okay, so what vision do you have for Reggie's, or do you think we should, the CSU should help them out in that matter? I mean, they're still saying they're doing fine, but I'm just quoting The Link here. So.
Yeah, I think Reggie's has been had a long-standing issue with finances. The CSU is always has been historically here to support Reggie's. And I think seeing the work that Harley, this current student life coordinator, Fawaz, the general coordinator, the work they have done with Reggie's and the conversations they have had, coming in as a student life coordinator, I would see what has been done in the past and what's kind of the history between the relations between the CSU and Reggie's, and work with the executive team then to make a decision. I think it's very difficult to come in and say, I can do this and I will fix this issue and I would make sure Reggie's never go bankrupt, because there's been a history of Reggie's struggling. So this is obviously not an easy issue to kind of just be like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to fix it. I think it's more of looking at the history, talking with the people that have done it for years, talking with the management, seeing what are they losing money on, what can we do to help it, testing different ideas and testing different things. I think it's impossible to come in with a definite statement on a long-standing issue, because if that was the case, it would have been fixed already. And so seeing what has been done and moving from there, I think, is important.
All right, thank you. Okay, so what vision do you have moving forward for Reggie's?
I think that we should support Reggie's as much as we can as the student union. However, again, as Tano mentioned, we're coming in, so we have to get acquainted with all the history behind everything, and we have to get acquainted with all of these discussions that are going on behind the scenes. I know that the CSU would always be happy to lend a helping hand, but yeah, we really need to discuss and look more into it and see what's the cause root of this and how we can help them fix it. But yeah, definitely supporting the Reggie's.
All right, thank you, Alexandra. So, what's your vision moving forward with Reggie's?
Well, sustainable financial management of any fee levy group, let alone an on-campus bar, is a huge endeavor. And I mean, this is long-term planning, so it's not a quick fix. It's not an easy solution type thing. But I will say that it's my understanding that Reggie's has a board, and it's important to keep in mind that you know, it's not not that it's not the CSU's job, but it would be not well advised for the CSU to kind of overreach with a student group which has its board, right? They're accredited in their own right. And so it's important to, you know, it's all well and good to say, you know, we've had this conversation with them, but at the end of the day, the board is there to act in the best interest of the group, and the CSU is also there to support them in that. I don't know that my vision would include the CSU kind of overreaching and saying we have a rescue plan, because I don't know how appropriate that would realistically be. But agreed that it would be a huge loss for the Concordia community to lose our on-campus pub. I mean, who wants that?
All right, thank you. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the prepared questions. So now I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to speak on something that you personally want to. If there's anything you want to tell the students.
Well, I want to outreach students, first of all. Please do not forget to vote on Tuesday. This is like extremely important. Your vote really counts, and your vote matters. We do not need a low turnout rate like the previous years. And obviously, one more thing is that when I say that I want to do something for a certain group, it means that I will do it. It means that I will dedicate a lot of time for it, and it means that it is one of my prime goals as a coordinator, whether it is for Reggie's or whether it is for any other group. I want to improve student life, and I want to give the financial need for every single group in CSU, every single group that has a reasonable purpose, of course. Yes, do not forget to vote on Tuesday.
All right, thank you. So any closing remarks you may have?
Yeah, of course. I think, like Adam said, encourage students to vote on Tuesday. I am really excited to be running and to have the opportunity to come in as student life. I really hope that I will be able to create events that are more welcoming to all students and do some good work. I'm very excited to be running with my slate. We are a great group of people that have years worth of knowledge. We have 2 former union members. We have someone that used to be a president of a union. We have a former executive. We have a former council. Like, we have a lot of knowledge kind of coming in, and we really want to hope that we can provide continuity from the last executive slate to this executive slate. And so yeah, I just encourage you to vote, and I hope next year we'll be able to do some good work together.
All right, thank you. So yeah, any final thoughts?
Yeah, voting is definitely something that should always be encouraged within students, because at the end of the day, we want to be here for you guys, and we're here to represent you. So it's important for the students to choose us and to vote, and just be informed about the student union and give us their opinions. I'm really looking forward to the next year. I'm super happy about my slate. We're all amazing. We're all great. I am just super excited, and I'm looking forward to all the events, all the future discussions, hopefully implementing and bettering all of the services. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. All right, any closing remarks?
Yeah, I am going to take this opportunity to speak to the students, whoever may be watching, and here's to hoping that 2023, 2024 will be an opportunity to rectify what a lot of people are seeing as a low engagement year. I think that we all, you know, have the opportunity to engage with the union, and I would encourage, like, if you can speak to your classmates, hey, did you know that you're paying a student union fee? Did you know that, like, that's, you know, because of, like, a legal thing with the government, and that they represent you, and that if you want them to represent your best interests, you should be engaging with them. So, you know, consider volunteering next year, consider joining student groups next year. The CSU will always need more volunteers to get out the message. We talked a lot today at the debate about how can we get more engagement, how can we get out the message more, bigger turnouts. It comes down to a lot of you guys also like taking the initiative and taking up the invitations and kind of being ready to participate. And I think that makes for a more engaging campus experience. I also just really look forward to being able to consult with a lot of you in the upcoming year and to be able to hear how we can better advocate for you. I mean, again, given that advocacy will likely be a part of my portfolio. So I also would like to shout out Tanu, Maria, and the rest of our slate who had scheduling conflicts today. Rest assured they are hard at work, but in another capacity, and we were glad to be able to represent them today. So thank you so much, guys.
All right. Well, that concludes our debate. And yes, there is another debate on Monday, March 13th at 6. This one's at Loyola, so in the SBS 110 room. And it'll also be a live stream. So I'd like to thank everyone that's watching at home. I'd like to thank our candidates. And I also like to thank CUTV for doing a great job of live streaming this event. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Nice.